Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Monday, December the 1st. Welcome to the last day of the month, the last trading day of the year, or last day of the month. Let me back that up. Welcome to the last month of the year. That's a much more accurate way of describing what today is. Welcome to December, the last month of the year, last trading month of the year, officially underway today. Um, Kind of a how would I say this? In my opinion, just kind of a crappy start to the month, unless you look at a few individual things that happen. Overall, the index is down today, and the Dow, kind of down ugly today. The S&P only 0.5%, the Nasdaq a little over 1/3%. Those are not too bad and not that big a deal after the big rally that we had to finish last month with. You got to admit that rally was impressive. It was much needed relief going into the very last week of November. November was still, I believe, on all three of the indexes. November was still a down month. I might be wrong on that. Maybe the Dow on Friday for the month. Maybe it eked into positive territory, gave a lot of that up today. But I think today's a one-off. I think it's a little bit of profit taking as people kind of reposition their portfolios a little bit going into this last part of the month. I believe on the Dow Jones Industrial Average today, um, the companies that got hit the hardest from a percentage standpoint, you had Merck down 2.7%, McDonald's down 2.6, Amgen 2.17. But the heavyweights, meaning the heavier weighted stocks, Goldman Sachs, Caterpillar, those are two of your heaviest weighted stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and they were down respectively 1.7 and 1.3%. So for the overall Dow Jones Industrial Average to be down 0.9%, that's not a horrible thing when you consider a couple of those heavyweights being down much worse than that. Disney and Nvidia were the biggest gainers on the Dow from a percentage standpoint, respectively. Disney up 2.2%. That was largely on news that the new Zootopia movie, Zootopia Part 2, that was released Thanksgiving week. I think it set some box office records, at least recent records, if not, outright records. But I'm actually going to see that this coming Saturday with my grandson, so that'll be fun. Um, but those were the two big winners. Apple also had a nice day. Walmart and Salesforce both above 1% return as well. But the majority of the stocks in the Dow were down, and that made it look kind of ugly for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But it's interesting because, with the exception of our SPY trade, which gave up a little bit today, Amazon improved a little bit today over where it was at. We got out of our new trade on DIA last week. We got out of it like a day and a half later for more than a 15% gain. I'm glad we got out when we did. Although if we'd stayed until the end of the week, we would have been even better off. But I'll take the 15% and not complain about it. Nvidia improved a little bit today. And I got to tell you, I see. Um, while the Nasdaq was down overall, you had a few companies like Nvidia had a decent day today. I really think Nvidia kind of put in a bottom down there between 170 and 175. I think that's actually, I know we haven't had technical crossovers back to bullish territory, but I got to tell you, I believe they're coming soon. I really do. Um, Palantir had a good day. Marvell. We don't have an open trade on Marvell right now, but it's something that, like as a company, we don't have an open trade. But I've got some spread trades open on Marvell. You guys know I do more than just the stuff I send out to you, but I've got a spread trade on Marvell, and then a new one we opened this morning for the triple play. We midway through the day we adjusted it a little bit on the strike prices, but I did get filled on that one in the second half of the day. So triple play, we've got a new trade on Marvell. Um, and then I've got another calendar spread on Marvell, very similar to the ones that I have currently on Palantir, Amazon, and Nvidia, all longer term bull call calendar spreads. And we opened a new one. Hopefully, you got the email. If you didn't get the email before the market closed, don't worry. It's a good trade to open up tomorrow morning. Um, but a new trade on AMD that look, again, I know AMD has not crossed over technically to bullish territory yet, but I really think a number of these tech stocks and specifically these chip makers that got bruised and beat up over the last 3 weeks, I really think they put in those bottoms a week ago. And this is the fourth out of 5 days, 4 out of 5 days that AMD is moving back up. I do think in the next few trading days, not that it couldn't have an off day in between, but I think in the next few trading days, you're going to see AMD cross to the upside. I think you're going to see the same thing with Palantir. I think you're going to see it with Nvidia. I think December is going to be a good month. In addition to the the betting odds, for lack of a better way to say it. In addition to that, showing um, a lot of confidence now that the Fed is going to cut rates in December. I'm starting to hear more and more talk about the probability of a rate cut at the end of January. Now, right now, um, this is showing a 90% chance of a rate cut in January. But that's from where we're at right now today, not necessarily an additional rate. You got to be careful when you're reading into this because here you've got the expectation right now that we're going to come down to that 350 to 375 basis point mark. And then in January, the 69% of this is the same 350 to 375. So it's 90% odds that it'll be eased from where it's at today, but not necessarily 90% odds that it will be eased from where we end up on that rate decision on the 10th. So that's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. But even this 21% right here is an increase from where it was just a few trading days ago. And that's not something to just discount and toss out of hand. I think there was news this morning or over the weekend, maybe it came last night. I didn't see it till this morning that I know Trump did say to some reporters on Air Force One that he has made a decision on his next Fed chair. More people are thinking it's going to be um, uh, I just why, why did I just blank on his name? I love that Kevin Hassett. I just blanked on Kevin Hassett's name, and I actually love Kevin Hassett. He's honestly one of my favorite people in the administration. I think he's a very straight talker and an incredibly smart guy. Kevin Hassett. A lot of people are speculating that he is the front runner, but Waller, FedGov Waller, made a good case last week for why he's qualified to do it, and said that he had some very good conversations with the White House. So the change is not going to happen until May. And I look, I'll be honest with you, setting aside my feelings for Jerome Powell. I don't know the man personally. I just do not like him as the Fed chair. But setting that aside, it irks me that he is unwilling to step down, knowing full well that President Trump wants him to step down. I don't know when else in the history of the country an incoming president has been adamant about wanting someone different as the Fed chair and not having that individual step down instead of saying, screw you, I'm going to finish out my term. Technically, if he's not derelict in his duty, which you could make a case that maybe he has been, or at the very least, he's been behind on almost every decision he has made. Constantly behind on where he should be with things. But you know, it bugs me that Powell is going to stay in there. He's going to be defiant. He's going to be an ass, and he's going to stay in there until May. But I will be elated if either Kevin Hassett or Waller become the next Fed chair, and I think you'll see some good things happen with the economy, with the affordability situation that most of the country is feeling right now. So that was some news this morning that I thought might give the market a little bit more of a positive direction. But a lot of people feel like the Dow sliding is tied in very heavily to what happened with the Bitcoin today and all of the cryptocurrencies. From a percentage standpoint, it was of these ones listed here, Solana is the one that took the biggest hit. Actually, I take that back. From a percentage standpoint, Dogecoin took the biggest hit at 10% down today, but Solana 9.2% and Bitcoin down 6%. I'm I've I have traded Coinbase Global a couple times. I've traded Strategy Inc. on a handful of occasions. I have not ever bought Bitcoin. I don't plan on anytime soon or maybe ever buying actual Bitcoin. But I got to tell you, when Bitcoin turns the corner and looks like it's on a run back to the upside, not only am I going to go in on Strategy Inc. because this all this company exists for is to buy Bitcoin. I do believe Bitcoin will find a bottom, turn the corner, and start to go back up. When it crosses over technically on the and keep in mind this is overbought territory, or excuse me, oversold territory right here. So it's got to get back above here and then cross above this mark up here to get back into a technical positive indicator. When that happens, when we get all three technical crossovers to the upside on Strategy Inc. I know we got a little bit of a head fake right here, and we got to be careful of that. But the next time we get those technical crossovers, I am going in on Strategy Inc. not only as a an option trade of some sort. I'll do some kind of an option play on it. I'm also going in on a new collar trade on this one. I'm going to wait until I'm a little more confident it's hit bottom. I don't know if Bitcoin has hit a bottom yet. I really don't. Um, I still don't plan on owning Bitcoin, but I'm okay with owning Strategy Inc. because they have to report earnings. They have to be accountable to their shareholders, and I don't know if there's any kind of a mechanism for Bitcoin to do that. So I'm willing to go in on this one and get in, but we'll wait until the right time comes on that and be cautious as we get in. So I sent out an adjustment on collar trades today for APLD, Applied Digital Corp. We added 100 shares. We rolled our long puts from the December 34 strikes to the January 28 strikes. Took in enough money to not only pay for 100 shares, but we had money left over because we increased our number of contracts from 6 to 7 in our case. And if you haven't done that adjustment, just do it in the morning. It's not a problem. It's not going to be an issue. Um, if you have not gotten into Applied Digital yet and you are looking for some money to put into a new collar trade, I am big time bullish on this company over the course of this coming year. I know their last earnings was a little bit of a disappointment. There's too many things that they're doing right, and the space that they're in is honestly too promising. I don't know if you're going to get a crossover immediately right here. Really close on the RSI, really close on the 5 and 20-day moving average. It would only take one or two more strong days of movement to the upside to get that crossover. They might possibly, hit there and dip a little bit again. I'm not, I'm not. I'm optimistic, but I'm not convinced that they hit the bottom at 20. I'm hopeful that they did. But if you get these crossovers, you could see a little bit of resistance right here at 30, maybe a little bit again at 35, but I believe by the end of first quarter at the latest, maybe sooner than that, end of first quarter at the latest, I believe they're going to be back up to 40 and testing their all-time highs. And there's a couple of people that they're not right every single time they make a prediction. I don't follow them religiously or think that they're some all-knowing sages, but some people that I like that make a good argument and are reputable and probably right more often than they're wrong, are picking this thing to be over $100 by the end of next year. So I'm all in on APLD. I'm going to be careful and watch for the timing, but when they give us those technical crossovers, if we get all three of those in the next couple of days, you will see a new spread trade in addition to the collar trade. But the collar trade adjustment went out, and you can do that tomorrow morning if you didn't do that today before the market closed. I mentioned we had the three new triple play trades. We did new trades today on AMD. We did one of our triple play trades was the same trade that we sent out for the main signal newsletter trade. However, we're not targeting as big a profit. I want to be in and out of this one a little bit quicker. One or two more days of upward movement on AMD. If we caught lightning in a bottle and got a little surge and a crossover technically, we could be out of this trade in a week or two. I don't want to be in it for more than a week, maybe two at the most. The other trades we did were an in the money bull call on Marvell. Um, we are at the 83 and 78 strikes. And so between now and the end of the week, I think there is some good, strong support at 85. So after this nice little run where it's crossed over technically on our three major indicators, I think it's going to be pushing back up here towards its all-time high. But if it doesn't and it wobbles a little bit, I don't think we're coming back down to 83. I think 85 could be tested as a support level, but I don't see an immediate breakthrough there. If we start to get one, we'll adjust it. But we got a good risk to reward ratio on that one. And then on the diamond, the DIA, the Spider ETF for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Look, I think over the course of the next 2 weeks, I went out to the 12th, not this coming Friday, but next Friday, and we did a long iron condor. We only need this to go up to I think 477 or 480, or we need it to come down. Let me I got to remind myself now what I did on this one. It filled immediately this morning, up to 480 or down to 470. And I think over 2 weeks, that's going to be easy, easy, easy. I think you're either going to see a drive up to and above 480 and back to testing all-time highs, or we're going to come back down one more time maybe and test this 460 range, which puts it way below 470. I just don't think, I think today may prove to be a one-off, and we'll have for this week a continuation, albeit not quite as strong, of the rally that we had last week on the Dow. That's my gut feel for the week. And that's where we're at on a Monday. That's where we find ourselves. So that is I'm going to wrap up right there. Really quickly, as one final thing, if any of you are interested, I'm going to try something different in the upcoming week with some marketing stuff. And if any members of the program are interested in putting together a very, very short little blurb, and I would prefer something video, and I'll help you if you're interested, reach out to me through email or on Discord, or text message me, whichever is easiest for you. If you're interested at all in doing a 5 to 10 second video, something as simple as saying, I've been with Safe Option Strategies for this amount of time. Love the results I'm getting. I don't want anyone lying or exaggerating or being dishonest about anything. Probably better if you don't mention specific percentages. But if you're interested in doing something really simple like that, I'm going to put a few 5 to 10 second testimonials from members of the program together as part of a little 30 second, 30 to 45 second video, and we're going to try something that we have not done before on some advertising. So if you have any interest in that at all, reach out to me directly. I may send an email out to the entire membership, but just wanted to throw that out there. I'd love to hear from you, and see if you'd be interested. And I'm not going to coach you on what to say, but I can coach you on how to do it, like how to do a really, really simple video. All right, I'm going to wrap up right there. Thanks, everybody. I hope you had a great, great holiday weekend, and hope you have a great rest of this week. Thanks. Bye-bye.